Okay, so we have this code here, and we're gonna add a view here. This view is going to be where all the gestures are going to be handled. We're gonna call pine container style, and we're gonna create it. It's going to be the width 100%, but better we use dimension. With this we get the width and the height of the screen, and we use it in the pine container view. We're gonna center the child elements of this view, and we're gonna set a C index of 10 so it gets on top of what we're going to add next. We add a background color to see how it looks, so it's what we wanted with like this. Now we're gonna add here an animated components, two animated components. It's going to be view. I'm sorry, it's going to be animated image that will contain both of the cans. So from the assets we get this one, and we style it. We're going to create it next. It's going to be the same for both images, and the resize mode is going to be contained so it doesn't get cropped. We create the image style. It's going to be the width of 55% and the height of, I don't know, 70%. And there's the first can, the one who is going to be up front, and now we add the one who's going to be in the back. Which is this one. It's going to be added on top. Now what we're going to do is to add to this style. Oops. Out. To this style we're going to add a position absolute. This is an object. So it's behind right now. We're going to add a transform. Translate X 40. Oh, this is an object too. That's so we can see it's right behind 100 and see them. So we're gonna, for now it's gonna be 40, and for now with this view it's we're gonna create now the pan responder. We're gonna add it from React Native. Pan responder is gonna handle all of the gestures we use in the view. We create a pan responder. We use create. We go to the documentation of React Native, and we're gonna use this one. This is used to, if it's set to true, it's going to recognize all the gestures. If it's set to false, it's not gonna recognize all the gestures. Same with this that we're going to use. This is for the start of the gesture. This is when the gesture is moving. We're going to use both, and we're going to use on responder move and on release, on responder release. Now we're gonna add the time responder to the view. And okay. Now we're gonna create an animated value for both cans. We're gonna call this gesture animation. We're gonna set it to 0. Now we're gonna use go to the documentation, and we're gonna use to set the animation. We're gonna use dx is the distance, accumulated distance of the gesture since the touch started. So that's what we're going to use to set it to the animation value. We're just going to use this. We're not putting it on the state, and we're going to put it here. And we're going to use user state dx value to animate it. Now we're going to interpolate it. Input range is going to be from 0. Right now it's going to be from 0 to width, the width of the screen, and the output range is going to be from 0 to 100. Well, better 200, and this is going to be 40. So we're going to use this to right now to test if it's working, and we're going to use it in the can who is behind. Extrapolate clamp. Now we're going to test it. We can see it's moving to the from 0 value, which is 40 in output range, to 200. So if we took out clamp, you can see it goes over what we specified in the output range. That's a great example to look and to see how what this extrapolate for. So it's working, and now we're going to start animating the cans. We're going to start with the animation when we swipe to the right, and we're going to create two functions that are going to return the style of the cans. It's going to be called get front style and get back style. It's going to receive an animation value, and this one too, and we're going to create both of the style of the both cans in this function, so it looks cleaner and it's easier to change. We're going to start with the front can. The translate x value that is going to be from right now it's just going to be from 0 to width, and the output range is going to be from 0 to 40. we're going to use 3 values here. We divide it by 2, and it's going to be, I don't know, 90. We're going to use extrapolate clamp. So the function is going to return a style, and we're going to use it here. We're going to set this right now to 40. We're going to delete this, and we're going to use front style, and we're going to pass as a parameter the gesture animation, and we are going to add it. So let's see how that works. Okay, it's working how we want it to work. Now, in the back style, we're going to do the same. We're going to copy this, and we're going to do the same, but the values is going to be different. When the position is 0, it has to be translated, the value of translate x is going to be 40, and then it's going to be, we're going to delete this, and we're going to interpolate it to 0, and we're going to see how that works. We create here back style, and we use back style. We have to add the style here. We delete this and add the back style. So now it's working how we want. It gets reset, and this is because we're using the gesture state, so it doesn't matter where I put my finger on the screen, it's always going to start from 0 to a positive value if I swipe to the right, or to a negative value if I swipe to the left. So we're going to fix that in a moment. But now we're going to use C index in the component in the can styles. So we're going to interpolate this, same from 0 to width, and it's going to be from 2 to 0, and we're going to add it in the style. So now it's easy. Now all the changes are going to be, we don't have to keep adding it to the image. What we add here is going to be now in the each can style, so that's simplify things. We do the same with this. We add it, and we change it here is going to be the opposite. So we tested a little annotation here. This is not going to work in Android, so in Android you have to add elevation and put this value. So now if you have an Android, it's going to work. So now it's working how we want it. But a little thing with the back style, it has to be smaller, and it has to have an inclination. So we're going to add that. Rotate. This is the back style is going to be 13 degrees, and here 0 degrees. And the scale is going to be 0.8 to 1. We're going to add it and scale. We're going to copy this so we can use it in these two, and it's going to be the opposite from 1 to 0.8, and this is going to be from 0 degrees to 30 degrees, 13 degrees I mean. Scale and rotate. I put the scale degrees, okay. Rotate here, scale here, and I did the same here. Scale, rotate. Sorry about that. Elevation, I write, okay, maybe it's because I'm in elevation, it's okay. I mean, I think it's because it's iOS, I don't know. We'll look now. It looks like it should look. Maybe if we add a little bit of translate text to the backstop. Okay, it has a better look, and now it's working, but it gets reset. Oh, this is because I didn't use extrapolate clamp in some interpolation. Let's add it. Okay, so it gets reset, and for that we're going to use on pan responder release. This is gonna get activated when we release, or it's going to get fired when we release our finger from the screen. So we're going to use from gesture state. We're going to use move X, and we're going to use BX. BX is the velocity of the gesture when you release the screen, and move X is the exact position, as we can see here, the coordinates of the touch when you release. So it's going to give you the coordinates of the screen. So we're going to use it first to when we swipe to the right. So move X is going to be greater or equal than width minus 150, and BX is going to be greater than 0. So we can see if it gets fired. Let's test it. Okay, so at that point we're going to animate so the cans get swiped. We're going to use animated. We're going to create a, now we're going to use a gesture animation. No, I'm sorry, animated. Timing, gesture animation. The value is going to be width. Duration is going to be 650. not the driver false, because we are using C index, and the async is going to be well, we first imported it here. The async is going to be elastic 1.8, and we're going to start it. So let's see. So it's working, but still, if I touch the screen again, it's gonna get the cans is gonna get resetted to the first position they were in, as we can see here. So we need something to so that doesn't happen. We're gonna create on the state to handle the which can is in front. So right now the yellow can is on the front. We're just gonna go yellow can front. Yellow can in front. I think that's a better variable name. Yellow can in front, and we're gonna use it here. We're gonna use the callback function from animate timing, and we're gonna set is yellow can in front to from state. So we're gonna toggle here every time we finish an animation, but still it's going to happen again because that doesn't affect in anything. But how are we gonna handle that? We're gonna handle it on render. We're gonna call is yellow can in front from the state, and we're gonna use it here. So if the yellow can is in front, we're gonna use front style for the yellow can image, and if it's not in the front, we're gonna use the back style. The same with the yellow can, but this is different. So if his yellow can on front is false, we're gonna use the back style. I mean the front style. And if the yellow can is on front, we're gonna use the back style. Okay, that didn't work. Let me see why. Oh, because this is set to false. This had to be set from the beginning to true. Okay, so now that's, I don't know. This is working weird. Let me see why. It's the scaling, I guess. Font style. Oh, I got it. Okay. So what is happening? Let me reset it. So we're swiping to the right, and what happened is this. They get in this position, but then happen this. Is yellow can on front. If it's false, gets set to true. If it's true, gets set to false. So that's why they are changing the state. So before that, we have to set the gesture animation. We're going to set the value of gesture animation to 0. So now it works. It has a little I think it's in translate. Yeah, because I'm using here, I'm gonna copy this in the font style. I think it's because of this. I'm using 3 here, so it's going to be back style 0, it's going to be 40, and width 0. Let's see if that works. I mean, it's working, but it looks weird. So instead of 90, it's going to be, I mean, let me delete this. Okay. So it wasn't because it was 3, it was the value of it. Oh, was 50. It was 50 and I was using 40. So I mean, we can change to 50. It looks better in both. So now it's working. If we set this to a lower number, it's going to look better. Now, what is happening here? This is the yellow can right now have the front style, and when we're doing this, it gets changed to the back style, and the value gets set to 0. So that's why it's working. So that animation, it's done to the right now. We're going to work on the left. But first, if nothing of that happened, like if the swipe is not enough to the MoveX value, it gets stuck like this and it resets and looks really weird. So what we're going to do is, if that condition is not satisfied, we're gonna reset the value of gesture animation to 0 with animate timing. Okay, duration. Just now you drag it to default, and we're gonna start. So if we swipe, it works. If not, they get set back to the 0 position. So now we're gonna complete the animation, working on the left swipe gesture. This is going to be 150, equal or less than 150, and the bx, the velocity of the x-axis gesture, is going to be less than 0. So I made it that timing. I'm going to use gesture animation. So minus width, and the duration is going to be 450. Use now drawback to false, and the easing is going to be elastic 2.4. We're gonna start it, and we're gonna do the same as here. Okay, so now let's work first with the translate X from front style. So it's minus width, and the translate X is going to be minus 120. Let's see how that look. Okay. And the scale is going to be the same. Here, the rotation, we're going to add rotation, minus width. It's gonna, let's see how it looks with minus 9 degrees. Okay, it looks good. And I think index, we're not gonna touch it right now. And we go with the back style with the green can, minus width, and the translate X is going to be 80. Let's see how that look. Okay, that's because it's getting fired this piece of code, but it shouldn't look like that. But for now, it look like that. No, it's not because of that. It's fighting, but it should be too width, so it's gonna look different. Yeah, my mistake. I'm sorry. So it's getting fighting, okay, but it looks really weird. Still, maybe because of the duration. Okay. Let's add more to duration so we can see how it works. So now it's getting swiped. So it's working. What's the prop styles? Okay. Now, okay, it's working. I will add more here. I will make something greater than less or equal to 250. See how that works. Okay, it looks better. I'm gonna comment this so it doesn't distract me from it. But if you got an Android, don't do that. So keep doing that. Okay, it's working. What else to add to the animation? I think it's working fine like that. Oh, one little detail. So we see the animation in the video, how it works. So the yellow can goes to the back and set in the position where the ring was. But if we watch our animation, it doesn't work like that. If we look at this lower, it get to that position, but it's always on front. So we're gonna use a swipe left to know if the gesture was swiped to the left or to the right. So we're gonna use these only if these conditions are satisfied, and swipe left from this state. But no, we're not gonna use it like this. We're gonna set in the state. We're gonna set in the state first, and there we're gonna fire the animation. Swipe left to true. Then with the callback function from set state, we're gonna fire the animation, and in here we're gonna set swipe left to false again in the state. So that should, and with that we're gonna use it in both styles, from and the back and the front. We're gonna use this, and we're gonna use it in Z index. So the output range is gonna be we're gonna use this here minus B. Okay, it's going to be 2, but this is going to be if swipe left is false. So if swipe left is true, so if we already know that we're swiping to the left, this is going to be 0, 0, and these 2. We're going to copy this and use it here too. And we're going to get the value of swipe left from state. This should be 0, 0, 2, 2, 2, 0. Let's see if that it works like that. Okay, this is minus width. Okay, it's not working right. Let's see why. So when we start the animation, the backhand is 0 right now, and it goes to 0 and to 0. Okay, so when we release here, it gets the value from, and it's 2, 2, and 0, the yellow one. 2, 2, and 0. So this is going to be 0, 2. No, it didn't work. Okay, it's 2 here. No, every single time is going to be up front, and there's going to be 0 all the time. So now it's working. Yeah, nice. So now it's working how it should be, and we're almost done with that animation. We're gonna make the cans a little bit smaller. Okay, and we're gonna use a margin or a transform. Let's see with margin top 50. What happened? I misspelled margin. So a little bit more, 60. See how it look. 80. Why is only affecting one like this? I don't know why. Oh, because this is absolute. Okay. So we're gonna use margin top. $100, and we're gonna add it here. Top 120. So it's working how we want it to. Now we're gonna add the animations in the background. So we're just gonna copy what we did in the Coca-Cola slider. We're gonna create when we're going to use the background component. Okay. So this should be so it's naturally on the back. I'm sorry. So we're gonna do the same that we did in the last video. We're gonna use the animation of the opacity to the scale and set the opacity to shut up, man. Okay, so now we're going to create a new animated value that is going to control the opacity of the background. We're just going to animate one background from opacity 1 to 0 and from opacity 0 to 1. So we're going to create it here. We're going to call it background animation. We're going to set it to 1. So now here, instead of timing, it's going to be an animated dot parallel. And we're going to include this. And this is going to be the background animation. We're going to use the in linear here. And use native. We're going to use native driver. And the value is going to be, okay, we're going to create background animation value in this state. It's going to be set to 1. So we're going to use it here. Background. Let's call background animation value. So if it's equal to 1, we're going to set it to 0, and if it's equal to 0, we're going to set it to 1. And we are going to use it here. And we're going to set it in the style. We're going to do the same here. We're going to use animated parallel. We're going to use background animation. We're going to set it to background animation value. And we're going to set it in the state. We got an error here. Okay, this. So it's working now. Right now it's not working animation. Let's see what else it's going on here in the background. Okay, we're gonna pass the prop of background animation as animation. It's coming from the state. We're gonna here and here in the props. Background animation, and in the yellow one we're gonna use it to control the opacity. So let's see if that works. It's not working. Let me see why. Okay, because we're using the value, that's what we're using in the animation. We need to use this back animation. Okay, I'm sorry. So now still not working because it's called animation only, and we're using it here, and it's working now. And now we're gonna scale both logos. The logo from the mango can, it's going to use the same value as the animation value. No. My mistake is in transform. Transform animation. So that's working, and now we're gonna interpolate the scaling of the green logo. Animation, interpolate, get the input range from 0 to 1, and the output range is going to be 1 and 0. Extrapolate, clamp. What's happened? Syntax error, and we're gonna use it here. Transform, scale, unexpected token. Okay, it's working now. It should work now, but I think a little bit faster will look better. Where it is 150, and I see why. 150, and this 500. See how that look. To the right looks nice. To the left, what? To run just drive animation. Okay. Okay, this is have to be set to true. Okay, so now it's working. It's too much. Too much of this. So now it's working. It's nice. Okay, so now we're gonna create the details component. We're gonna import it here, and we already got it styled. So we're just gonna add animations. You can copy this boilerplate from the details component. It will be in the repo. So we're gonna create first an array called animations. It will include 7 animated values. One more. And we're going to use it in the component did mount lifecycle method. We're going to use a stagger, animated stagger, with a delay of 200. We're going to create a duration here of 350. So now we're gonna create this an animated timing from each animation. To value is going to be 1, duration easing is going to be elastic 2.5, and we're going to use native driver. We're going to do the same to all of it, to all the animations. And we're going to put the index of the animation 6, 5, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we call the start function. So now we're going to pass it in text container animations as a prop, these animations. And we're going to use it here. We're going to create an array of interpolated animations value. We will call interpolated animations. So we're going to map it, the animations array. And we're going to return an interpolated value of each animation. Input range is going to be from 0 to 1, and the output range is going to be from width to 0. We're not going to use extrapolate here because we want to use the elastic easing. And now we're going to create the styles and style it. We're going to call it interpolated styles, and we're going to map the interpolated animations. I misspelled animations here. We're going to map this array to create the styles. We're just going to add transform. Translate x to the value of the interpolated value, let's call this, and it's gonna be this value. Now we're gonna add the style to each view. This is 1, 2, 3, 5. We're going to copy this. We're going to add it here. 6. And we're going to add it here. It's going to be 1. So now it should work. It's not working. Okay, let me see why. Okay, this doesn't have interpolated style. It's going to be 4. Okay, it's too much of the elastic. .8 and only this. We're gonna replace this so it's easier to change it and see how it works now. Okay, it's working good, but the delay has to be less. We're gonna set it to 50, yeah, to 50, and it's working better now. Maybe to 100. Now to 70. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, to 70 and to 415 the duration. Okay, it looks better now. And now finally we're gonna create the animation for the button. Now button animation. value is going to be animations, the last one, interpolate. The input range is going to be from 1 to 0, and the output range is going to be minus width to 0. And we're just going to add it to the button style here. Transform. Translate X. Button animation value, and see how it works now. Looks better, but we should lose. Nice. So now it looks nice. And now we're going to add the animation for the logo. And where it is here, we're gonna create it here. So we're gonna use it, or you're gonna use this to transform the logo. Transform. We're gonna use scale. And see how it look. Okay, look nice. And that's all for this screen. It's already done. Now let's gonna pack all the screens and look how it look finished. Now finally, to wrap up the app, we're gonna create a navigator. We're gonna add it, and we're gonna use the uploading component from Expo. So we load all the assets first, and you can see all the code in the repo, and I will leave this link in the description so you know more about it. And we're gonna add an animation to the slider. So when we enter to the slider, the first time the first scan has to come from the bottom to the top, well, to its place, and the logo has to come from scale 0 to scale 1. So we're gonna create that animation value called initial animation, the value is 0, and we're gonna create a state property called initial animation finished. Going to be set to false, and we're going to use this in the component with mount cycle lifecycle method. It animated that timing. Now we're going to use the callback function from animated.timing, and we're going to change the initial animation finished value to true. So we're going to use the animation and the state property of initial animation finish, and we'll pass it as props to background component and to the items component. To the background, we're going to pass initial animation finished, and to the items component, we're only going to pass the initial animation value. And then we're going to do first the items component. put this here. And we're gonna use this. So we're going to animate the first one when index is equal to 0. If index is equal to 0, we're going to use initial animation. If it's different from 0, we're going to use 0. Let's translate y. Okay, I'm sorry, we're gonna interpolate this. We're gonna translate y. Input range from 0 to 1. Output range 500 to 0. And we're gonna use it here. So now it should work. I don't know why it's always. Oh, we have to animate to use animated here. We're gonna set this to. Okay, I think that looks better. Now we're gonna animate the logo. We're gonna use initial animation and initial animation finished. So we're just gonna animate the first one. This is a logo container, so index equal to 0. We're gonna use, and initial animation is finished. We're gonna use scale. Else we're gonna use use initial animation. So now it's working. We'll set this to 500, 300. Okay, I think that looks better. Okay, but now I miss the logo scaling. And it's going to be scale. So if it's different from 0, okay. So now it's working like it should be. Let's see again. Okay, it's working now. Okay, now we're going to use the navigation props. We're going to create a function that is called navigate to. This will have as a parameter the index, and if index it's equal to 2, we're gonna do one thing. But first we're gonna use navigate under these props navigation, and we are going to navigate to swipeable. The screen swipeable, if we look at here, it's called swipeable, the one where you swipe the cans. Else we're gonna navigate to details, and we're gonna pass some parameters. That it's background, and it's gonna be called from items with the index and the background, and the logo is going to be called this like that too. Items is not index dot logo. Now we're gonna pass this function to the items component. And we're gonna use it. Now this component items, we're gonna grab it around touchable opacity. No, touchable without feedback. And we're gonna pass the key to this one. And on press, we're going to execute navigate to, and we're gonna pass the index as a parameter and see if it works. So it's working. Now we're gonna go to the details component, and we're going to use the navigation props 2 here. So we're gonna use it here in the comeback, in the button with comeback. Let me see. Okay. We're gonna use go back from this props navigation. And we're gonna pass it to text container. And we're gonna use the prop here, go back, and on press, go back. Let's see if it works. Okay, it's working now. So now we're gonna set the background and the logo on this screen, on the detail screen. So we're going to use state, and we're gonna call background logo from state.params, and we're gonna set it here in the background. And in the logo. Let's see if that works. Okay, it's working. Right logo and right background. Right logo and right background. The same. And no sugar is the same. So now we're gonna test this one. It's working too, but when we enter to this screen, the cans they had to come from the left to the right. So we're gonna add that and finish the app. We're gonna create a new animated value called initial animation. New animated value set to 0, and we're gonna create a state property called initial animation finished set to false, and we're gonna use it in the component did mount. Okay, it's going to be animated timing, initial animation to value is going to be 1, the duration is going to be 500 milliseconds, the easing is going to be elastic, (2.3), and we're going to use native driver. And we're going to use the start callback function to set the state, and we're going to change initial animation finish it from false to true. And now we're going to use those values in the styling. So now we're going to use initial animation, and from the state we're going to use initial animation finished. So we're going to create first the initial styling, initial front styling. That is going to be transform, translate X, and we're going to create translate X here. We're going to interpolate initial animation. Input range is going to be from 0 to 1. The output range is going to be width to 0. We're going to create another translate text for the back styling, and that's going to be the same, but we're going to change the second output range value. That is going to be 50. Okay, that's good enough for the interpolation. We're going to copy this for the initial back styling. This is translate underscore translate X, and scale is 0.8, and rotate is 13 degrees. So that's all for the initial styling. Now front style and back style, we're gonna copy this from the animated image, and we're gonna paste it, and we're gonna use it like that. We're gonna call the function front styling here, directly here, and get back style too. We're going to do the same here. And this is going to be true. Now this is not going to be constant. They're going to be a variable. Now we're gonna see if initial animation is finished. We're gonna use the front style. If it's not finished, we're gonna use the initial front styling. Initial front styling. I misspelled initial. Initial front styling. And we're going to do the same with the back style. Initial back style. Now we're gonna add front style and back style. This is the front style. So we're gonna let it like this. And to this one we're gonna add back style and see if that works. Is here, the background is here. Let's see if that works. So now it works. And that should be all for this app. You can test it. I'll leave the repo in the description. I will invite you to subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more videos like this on animation, and I'm starting a free course here on YouTube of animation from zero to reanimated. We're gonna start with the animated API from React Native, and then after we get all those concepts and and we understand everything about animations, we're going to start with the course of Reanimated. So I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel, like and share with